Currently, it seems the Ivory Coast in West Africa can't get organized enough to hold elections. Not so long ago, it was hailed as a haven of peace and prosperity. The world's largest producer of cocoa is in turmoil, with President Laurent Gbagbo postponing elections 5 times in the last 5 years. And with the elections due in March, in this edition of Africa Today, I'll be looking at the reasons behind the turmoil. And joining me will be Tchankap, the editor of Le Guide magazine, and Anatole Ibo, a representative of one of the political parties in coalition with President Laurent Gbagbo's government. Join them and myself, Vuyiswa, for another more complete view of Africa Today.
Uncertainty surrounding Ivory Coast's delayed elections grew further after the country's president, Laurent Gbagbo, dissolved the government and electoral commission. The latest development sparked violent protest in a nation once seen as Africa's model of stability and economic prosperity. The president's decision followed demands the head of the Independent Electoral Commission resign over accusations he was trying to fraudulently add more than 400,000 voters onto the electoral roll. The opposition supporters, mainly from the rebel-controlled north of the country, have accused Mr. Gbagbo's party of trying to disqualify voters who were unlikely to support him in the next elections. Elections last scheduled for 29th November 2009 have been postponed 6 times since President Gbagbo's term in power was supposed to end. According to government sources, elections are now slated for late February or early March. The country split in 2002 as soldiers in the north rebelled against the government of President Laurent Gbagbo. However, a peace deal was reached in 2007 for a power-sharing government. President Laurent Gbagbo's place in power is tenuous, and it is 5 years since his term ended. Africa Today asks, will Ivory Coast find the peace and unity the country once enjoyed?
Hello and welcome to Africa Today. Côte d'Ivoire, or the Ivory Coast, used to be a model of economic and social harmony. But as we just saw, all is not well as the country struggles to hold long overdue elections. Former colonial power France seems to be between a rock and a hard place, with an unsuccessful attempt to broker a peace between the rebel-held north and the government-controlled south. The UN and the African Union have also failed in attempts to keep the peace. But what about attempts by Ivorians themselves to make peace among themselves? Here with me to paint a picture of what is happening in the country are Tchankap, the editor of Le Guide, and Anatole Ibo, a representative of the Republican Union for Democracy, known as the URD, one of the parties in coalition with President Gbagbo's government. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And indeed, as I was alluding to, there isn't that much information about the Ivory Coast, is there, Isaac? Can you give us a little bit of background? For example, the good old days when it was hailed as a haven of peace and prosperity. Was it that good?
Yes, indeed. They used to call Abidjan Petit Paris, which means small Paris, because of the way that the city was built and also because of the makeup of the population over there. So it was kind of heaven, to be honest. And most of Africans used to Abidjan was a place to be, even, or a transitional stage to go to Europe.
Right.
It was really good at that time,
right?
Which is why it's quite it's hard to feel. It's sad to see that lovely, that beautiful Ivory Coast being thrown into pieces now for whatever reason it is. But,
well, talking about the reasons, I'd like to ask you, Anatole, what was it during that period of peace, relatively speaking? What held the nation together?
Right. Then again, we go back to the days of independences in that region of Africa for all those French-speaking countries in Africa. After the independence, it was a one-party ruling, so everybody belongs to the same entity that is one party. So we all express ourselves through that one ruling umbrella guided by President Houphouët-Boigny. So And then beside, we have a grooming economy at that time. First producer of cocoa in the world, first producer of coffee in the world. So everything was there to be a paradise.
Yes, the potential was
massive. Was it was massive.
There,
right.
Indeed, yeah.
Then at that time, you only hear about Ivorian leaving the country to go and study abroad and come back. Not migrate and stay there.
Or Ivorian going abroad to do some shopping.
to do some shopping and come back.
Yes.
Right. I mean, the divide between rich and poor in those days, can we say it was much better than it is now?
Yes, I take the responsibility to say yes. The divide the gap is enormous at this point in time. Yes.
Yes. And so, what did lead to the splitting of the country in 2003?
Well, this is, you have to take a step back. I mean, the division came after 2009, that is 19th of September 2002, sorry,
okay.
Where there was an attempted coup d'etat that fell.
Right.
And then the perpetrators back to the north, and then the country was divided. So, but you have to take a step back. How did that come about? You know, everything started since 1990 when we grew from one party to multi-party. Then there was an expression of freedom and liberty and expression of choice as which party you join and then who you follow.
Right. Well, following on from what you're saying, I mean, that initial stage post-independence does tend to be usually ruled by one party. You could even call it a stabilizing period. But, you know, as Anatole was saying, Isaac, the expression of different desires comes over the course of time. What were the major concerns of those people that led the rebellion, that led up to the distresses of the 2002-2003 era?
Yeah, the official reason for the rebellion to actually occur was that they felt that they were being treated as a second-class citizen in the country. So they were, as they say, craving for this kind of harmony between the population in the Ivory Coast. So they felt they were left behind. Those from the north, but were left behind. That's what they felt compared to those of the south. Abidjan on the one hand, and Waken, the other side of the country, like Koroga or the side, or on the other hand. So they felt left behind. And as far as they're concerned, that is what actually brought them into fight against the power of President Gbagbo.
Right.
And quite uniquely, I keep saying that to people, I've never experienced that in my life. When there is a coup, like what has just happened in Niger, when there is a coup, you are expecting a winner and a loser. People may say at length about a failed coup. As far as I'm concerned, it wasn't a failed coup. It is a situation whereby you haven't got any winner, any loser. We will end up with a country divided into two administrations in one country.